Hello, this is William Head with Team DUI talking to you today about Georgia Implied Consent rights. If you have been arrested for driving under the influence, the officer is required by law to read you a card. It's called a Georgia Implied Consent Notice. It's orange in color, as you see here on the screen, and the officer will usually have put a date here and initialed his or her card and keep that in his or her pocket when they need to read it to someone arrested for DUI. The implied consent notice is telling you that if you fail to take the officer's requested breath, blood, urine, or other type of forensic test, that your license or privilege to drive on the highways of this state will be suspended for a minimum period of 1 year. The most difficult part of this is that a refusal in Georgia can trigger a 1-year hard suspension. That means you don't get any type of limited permit, work permit, nothing. So before you refuse a test in Georgia, especially if you're a Georgia licensee, this could be a serious problem and you may need to rethink that. The implied consent cards in Georgia have 4 panels. The front panel that you already saw has the card where the officer signs the date he or she puts the card into service. Then there are 3 other panels. One is for suspects under age 21, one is for commercial truck drivers who are held to a .04 BAC level, and one is for drivers who are 21 and over who in Georgia have a .08 or more as being their legal alcohol level. My general advice to people has been this: if you haven't been involved in a serious accident causing serious injury or death, if you don't have a habitual violator situation that by giving more evidence you might be solidifying the state's case against you for a felony, and if you're not under 21 such that any alcohol, even a half a beer or half a glass of wine, is going to put you over the limit, you probably should take this test. It's an individual choice, and this is only my suggestion. It's not something you can count on in every situation. But by taking the test, you are entitled to an additional chemical test. In Georgia, if you refuse the testing, you don't get an additional test. You're not going to be allowed to be taken for one. So if you submit to whatever test they request, then you are entitled to ask for your own blood test at a location of your choosing, as long as it's somewhat nearby. So if you lived in Marietta and you were stopped in Atlanta, you could say, I'd like to go to the hospital in Cobb County. You have to be able to go to a reasonable place to get this done. You have to pay for the test, so be prepared with a credit card, debit card, or cash to be able to pay for your independent test. In Georgia, the right to an independent test is one of the most important rights that you have as a driver.